Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. Today's a bit of a late video, apologize for that. Had to drive my parents to the airport, but nonetheless, let's get this started. As usual, if you guys enjoy, don't forget to hit that like button. Massive move up. I did say we're gonna have an explosive move. I just wasn't sure in which direction exactly. Clearly it was to the upside. I had a feeling it was like slightly more hinted to the upside, but again, it still felt pretty coin flip to me. That's why I don't want to take the risk. But nonetheless, Tesla up 5.53%, ending the day at $733.63, which is fantastic, actually. Great move. I mean, overall, the whole market is up, right? The QQQ is up 2.14%, SPY is up 1.5%. So just a whole green day for the market. But again, when you have these like massive rallies and massive declines just constantly back and forth like that, you know, it's not normal for a market, guys. Just keep that in mind. But let's get this started. Let's see what we can expect to see coming up. So first and foremost, as you can see, I think very obviously, right, Tesla is essentially exactly at the resistance of this bear wedge that we are essentially in, right? So that is the most important thing to keep in mind, right? The RSI is pointing up and it did make a higher high, which is actually a good sign. So the RSI still looks fairly healthy for the bulls, which is what the bulls want to see. The volume today on Tesla specifically wasn't too bad. You know, it's wasn't high, but wasn't particularly like exceptionally low either. You know, it was decent volume, I guess, to say to say the least. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for the indices, especially SPY. Very low volume today, but nonetheless. So the main thing that definitely to point out is the fact that Tesla is exactly at the resistance that I've been talking about for a while. The reason it went a bit higher, I did say like 720 to 730. It ended at 733, which obviously is higher than 730. But the reason that's fine is because it happened a little bit faster than I expected it to. Because if it did happen like in literally a few more days, then 730 would have been the resistance for the blue line, right? The bear pennant that we are in. Because it happened earlier, naturally the resistance is a little bit higher, right? Makes sense. But nonetheless, yeah, we are right exactly at it. So this is going to be a kind of a do or die moment, I feel like, for the bulls and for the bears too, honestly, if they want to regain control, where the bears are going to have to step in pretty much tomorrow, honestly, and really take control of this area and bring it back down to at least 720, maybe 700. And the bulls are going to want to essentially pretty much, in my opinion, keep 700. Like, I personally wouldn't be surprised if this pretty much goes to 700, like regardless of the situation, right? 702, let's just say. My current price target for the short term, probably like tomorrow and probably including tomorrow, but most likely Monday, in my opinion, is probably back to 700. Sometime like that, give or take, like pretty soon. That's my current price target. I do think we're going to have a retrace from here. Again, it could be wrong. I mean, we could continue the rally. Sometimes when Tesla really goes, it really goes. You never know. But nonetheless, I expect a retrace probably back to like maybe 700, 702. You can see here the 0.382 Fibonacci, right? That wouldn't be surprising as well. But the bulls are going to really want to step up back around the 700 level and then see what happens from there. But ultimately, guys, the first thing you want to see is whether or not we break out of this bear pennant that we are in. And if we do break out to the north side, which is not much higher from here. Honestly, I would say, to make things very simple, 740. If we can get a solid, candles above 740, I would consider that a breakout to the north side, and this bear pennant that we are in pretty much invalidated, and then start thinking about this bear flag that we are in instead. And that would pretty much take us to that, not dreaded, I guess, but the one I've been claiming for so long, the 800, almost 800 price target. Is what I would expect if this bear pennant does not come to fruition to the south side, which is usually what they do, of course, right? It's called the bear pennant for a reason. So that's kind of what I'm seeing at the very moment, and I definitely wouldn't count it out. Like, I definitely wouldn't count out the possibility of breaking to the upside and potentially going up to like almost 800. I definitely don't think that's completely out of the realm of possibility. But keep in mind that we have the CPI print early next week, so that's going to be something that usually has a lot of fear pre-prints, so that's something to definitely consider. Tomorrow is Friday. I'm usually bearish on Fridays. Never know, some Fridays can be bullish, but I think more often than not Fridays are bearish. Mondays tend to rhyme with Fridays, so I wouldn't be surprised if Monday and Friday are red days, which pretty much brings us back to the 700 level. And I think that's where we're going to see pretty much the final battle between the bears and the bulls, in my opinion, if we come back to 700. To really see who gets the full control. Do bulls get the full control and push it back up maybe to 800, or do bears take full control here and then we essentially just start falling down from there? Another thing to keep in mind, guys, as usual, I always talk about the VIX, right? The VIX is essentially bouncing off this kind of overall rectangle that I have that is essentially like a supplies or a demand zone for the VIX, kind of. Sort of. I mean, the VIX isn't like a commodity. It's not like an actual stock necessarily where there's like a literal interest of or a demand technically. But it still follows technicals, believe it or not. So that's, pretty interesting. But nonetheless, it is a lot of red, and it has fallen to what could be argued a support. So I wouldn't be surprised to see if the VIX does bounce from here, which already shows some bounce potential. You can see here some potential right there. That would definitely signal the fact that the SPY, the QQQ, pretty much the whole market in general, for like the tech sector, etc., all that stuff, that we care about, at least here, I'm sure, is due for a retracement. The QQQs looks a lot better than the SPY. The QQQ can come down to maybe retest this, potentially get a quick rally up to like maybe 300. That's definitely not impossible in my opinion as well. So if that happens and the QQQ and the SPY continue to rally up, maybe SPY to 400, QQQ up to like maybe 300 or something like that, maybe a bit higher even, maybe even like 315, right? Then that would signal the fact that Tesla most likely has room to 800. But all that being said and done, let's take a look at the indicators very quickly. The EMA 21 above that thing as well now, so that's really, really good. So the bulls are seeing exactly what they want to see, potentially going to be touching the green line here. You never know. I mean, we didn't do it over here, so you never know for sure. Could be the time that we finally do it. We'll see what happens, of course. But we're right above the white line, and of course the Bollinger Band, which is great. So it's looking quite bullish. I'm not gonna lie, like, you know, above the 10-day and the 5-day moving average. Like Tesla's looking kind of bullish. It really is. Could be a fake out, could be a massive bull trap. You never really know for sure. So we'll definitely have to see how it reacts to this area. But ultimately what I would want to see is most likely a rejection back to like maybe almost 700. Most likely, and then for the bulls, you'd want to see them fight back and then take it back and actually cross the blue line for once, and then potentially rally to 800. The bears are going to want to bring it back to 700, win the battle there after some consolidation, most likely, which will probably be next week, and then push it down all the way and break out to the south side of the wedge. That's what the bears want, right? So which one happens is, of course, yet to be seen. But ultimately, guys, I want to be very crystal clear, regardless of what happens, whether we get rejected from here and go straight down, or we end up ultimately coming up to the top of this bear flag that we are still technically potentially could be in or forming, which would bring us to almost $800 sometime this month. Ultimately, I still believe that, you know, this is still going to be a bear rally regardless, and I ultimately still believe that we are going to be setting a lower low regardless of what happens here. So keep that in mind. I want to make that very, very clear. Going over to the slightly lower time frame, you can see on the 15-minute chart, beautiful rally over here from Tesla, all the way from 650 to 730 pretty much, which is fantastic, right? That's a pretty decent move, actually. That ultimately is almost a 13% move, which is fantastic. But nonetheless, you can see the RSI is starting to get a little bit of a bearish divergence, even though we made where is it? Here. So over here, as we went up to 724, the RSI was sitting all the way here, and then it did go a bit higher, and the RSI did go actually higher, but then the stock still went higher, but the RSI started going lower, and you can see the RSI is starting to make lower lows, lower highs, even though the stock is essentially making higher highs and higher lows, and even consolidating in that area. So you have a bit of a bearish divergence starting to form, so that's definitely something to keep in mind, especially on the 5-minute. It's a lot more obvious. You can see very, very obvious bearish divergence over here. The stock is essentially making higher highs and or consolidating at the exact same level, while the RSI is just plummeting. That is a bearish divergence, which to me tells me that I wouldn't be surprised on the shorter time frame that, again, maybe tomorrow, probably maybe Monday, maybe both, that we get a bit of a retracement. You know, the bulls kind of let the bears get a little bit of control, maybe get a gap fill to like maybe 695. Maybe that's possible as well. Something along the lines of 695 to 705, somewhere in this range. And then I think the bulls are going to want to step up once again once we get back down to that range. That's currently what I'm predicting. Again, for all we know, though, again, Tesla, when it gets going, it gets going. We can just completely smash through and just rally up all the way up to, you know, maybe even like 760 tomorrow. That's also very possible, but time will tell. But those are the key levels, guys. Do you want to pay attention to? If we can break today's high, and even especially 740, I definitely think that, you know, rallying up to 760 and overall probably eventually touching 800 is in the works. But if we get rejected here, most likely a retracement back to, you know, I wouldn't be surprised again to see that $700 rough area, get a bounce from there. The bulls maybe step in, or the bears take full control and we go from there. So that's currently what I'm seeing. Let me know what you guys think down below. Apparently Twitter is plummeting. Maybe something with Elon happened. I don't know. Let's take a quick ponder. Oops. What am I looking at here? This one. Yeah, something happened with Twitter. It says down 4%. I don't know. Yeah, it's all the way down here. Something happened with Twitter. I'll check it out after. But nonetheless, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.